We all should photograph a lot more than we do, because being good or getting better requires practice, and photography is no different. Practicing the craft of photography will make you a better photographer, and being a better photographer, you get a lot more joy out of it. But in real life, there are lots and lots of things that distract us and ruins our good hobby. Not saying that life is bad, but, you know, it makes, or the busy schedule prevents us from making the images. But I will give you or discuss 10 things that might help in that. Hi, it's Peter here. And before we get into the business, I have to say that this channel is all about you getting to be a better photographer, and subscribe and hit that bell so you get notified when I get a video. It's a long time I've said that, but I just wanted to say it now because it feels a little bit nostalgic. But let's get right into the business. The first one is finding inspiration. That could be one thing that we just don't feel inspired to photograph because of the things that I said at the beginning of this video. Like I said, it's normal that things that we do every day will prevent us making those images. But what if you took photography as part of the everyday chores? Start documenting your everyday life. Just first, it might be just, you know, private images for yourself and for your family. It's also recording things that has happened. And that could be the thing that gets you going and will make your photography better. And that's also one thing in that is that, of course, if you're doing, you know, or making dinner or doing some other chores, cleaning up or whatever, you can't concentrate on photography. But also is kind of like a relief, because then you don't have to concentrate. You can make the images as raw as you like, and that might open up some new things. That might inspire you. And if that's not possible, why not document something when you go or commute to work? That's also could be. Of course, if you're driving, then you might not want to photograph while you're driving, but walking to the car, take a couple of images every morning, walking from the parking lot at the office, make a few images. And if you don't have to commute, you're working from home, use that time that you would commute, take a walk and take some few images. That's a healthy habit too, to have morning walks. And you could combine that with making images. Probably most of you already do that. And then the second thing is setting challenges. And all of these are kind of combining the same different things, that how to find the inspiration. But it's still a slightly different thing, and these tools might help you to photograph more. Well, the challenge is go to a local camera club or join it, and they have monthly challenges. They might even have weekly challenges to take part. And there are a lot of good things about that, even though most of the camera clubs are a bit on the conservative and old-fashioned style likers. At least here in Finland they are. They have a certain type of genre, but nothing wrong with that. And if that's something that you like, just join one of them, or take part in my 52 assignment challenge, because that is something that you could. That's the whole point, is to get you inspired to photograph. I have a assignment for every week or every month. There's a theme, and then 4 assignments, which you can of course photograph the way you want and concentrate on one or not. But if you're not familiar with, you can watch a video from there and take part. I will do that next year too. I don't know the format yet, but there will be 52 assignments for next year too. So we will keep up the good thing that is going, and you getting to be better and more inspired. And then one thing which is an interesting one is using different equipment. Yes, sometimes taking that lens from collecting dust from the shelf or the camera and try that and use that for a little while. That might give a slight little boost when you have something new to learn. Maybe you don't remember all the bells and whistles in your old camera, and do that. Or if you fancy just get a film camera and try some film, that might give you some more boost to your creativity, just to learn how it is with film. And you know, that could be it. Film cameras are really inexpensive, and if you don't like it, and you know, you just felt it, that was a nice try, but that's not for me, then you can sell it back. You probably get the same money out of it. So you don't lose money that much, even though at least here in Finland, film photography is extremely expensive. Not the cameras, but the film and the develop cost of the film is quite high at the moment. But yeah, and of course, if you have the budget, why not buy a new lens or camera and try how that will affect your photography. And sometimes it works, even though I don't see that it's the big thing, but sometimes it might boost your creativity and might boost your enthusiastic feeling about photography. And if it helps, then it's a good thing, but don't rush out and buy something just because I said so. No, feel if that is something that you really need, or feel that you want to try macro photography, for example, then get some extension tubes and go out and photograph some macros and see how that is. And then if that is something that you really enjoy, then you might get a macro lens. It's always a good thing to rent or buy something a bit cheaper first and then buy the real stuff. Of course, that might be more expensive if you buy an expensive lens and then you buy even more expensive lens. But, you know, get a lens used or borrow one or something like that, and then get it for yourself if that proved to be a good idea. And then another thing that is also about new things is exploring new locations. At least for me, that thing works really well. I'm really excited about photographing when I travel. And I don't mean that you have to travel to get inspired by, or inspired. You can just go to another part of the city, or just a new place that you haven't been before. It's for me, it is something that I enjoy a lot, to see new things. And when I go around here, even though there are quite a lot of things, there is some nature reserves and there are some little city areas in where I live, and then we have everything around here except big stores or neon lights or something like that. I have to go to downtown Helsinki, which is not that inspiring for me because I've photographed there so many years, and it's just all the same. And that's one thing why I like to go to new places and photograph. It's inspiring to see new things. You kind of see things differently when you're in a different place. But when you're in a familiar city or familiar surroundings, you've seen things so many times that you just don't see them anymore. And that's why it's sometimes interesting to photograph with a foreigner here in Helsinki, which I've done several times when some of my followers and subscribers have traveled to Finland. They've contacted me and we've had a few photo walks with them. And so if you travel to Finland, please send an email to me. You can find it in the description and we'll figure out something, coffee, a beer, or a photo walk or whatever. And then editing and post-processing is one thing. What I do is I go back to my images from way back and fiddle around with the editing every now and then when I have some free time and find something new in the images. And that inspires me and makes me want to go out and photograph. That is a good way. And it's also a very good feeling when you find some good images from the past, and you might have forgotten some images that, okay, I had that style, I did that back then, and all the memories come back, and that kind of boosts up the creativity and the inspiration to go out and photograph. At least for me, you want to kind of like copy that image. And sometimes you find really good images and then you realize that my current images aren't as good as that. Well, that's also a good kind of like a boost, or should be a boost, to photograph more and not get, upset about it. Sometimes that's the case. But go out and shoot and feel good again. And then there is something that I've talked also quite a lot, is telling stories with photographs. That's also a good thing to get inspired, is to figure out a story that you want to tell. It can be a story of a flower on your back garden. You plant it and then you photograph it every day and see how that goes. It could be a very powerful story about, life itself, the growth, and then, the last days of the flower when it fades away. And that could be really a good story. Or you can make a story of a sandwich that you make for you in lunchtime or something. Just photograph that procedure, thing when you're making the sandwich, and try to make photos, different type of photos of that, and enjoy the process of making those images, and that might inspire you to find something new. It's the story doesn't have to be a big story, life-changing story in the bigger sense. It can be a small story that's important for you. Just document something. That could, when you have kind of like a challenge, like I thought was talking before, that could be something. So figure out a story or some little stories that you can photograph and maybe you publish them and get some feedback for them too. Which comes to learning and growing. The biggest thing for me in photography is the constant learning and the need to learn, because photography is a craft that you never master 100%. There's always something you can learn, always something to discover. You discover new images. All of a sudden you take an image and you see something that you haven't done before, or you manage to make an image that you haven't done before. And that's always very rewarding. And for me, that part in photography is the most enjoyable, because of course when you're getting old or older, you tend to lose that enthusiastic way of discovering and learning. You've seen so many things, so nothing really surprises you, but try to keep that spirit of learning and finding new things, because that's very healthy for you and your brain too, because if you use your brain, it keeps healthier for a longer time. It's not a medical advice, but that's something that I read, that you should challenge your brain and do things that you might not know yet. And for me right now, it's the AI image creating prompt graphy, what I call it, to make images with AI and learn how to install all these different things with, Python and stuff like that, which I've never done any coding, but now I have to understand a bit of coding so I know what I'm doing. And also, the new world is really exciting to making the images about AI. And like I said earlier this summer, that I'm planning on having a new channel about that. But that's another story. It's not about the topic of this. But it was just something that I do when I try to learn new things. And you could learn new things doing the same thing, just exploring what Midjourney can offer, or just start a new genre. If you're doing landscapes or bird photography, go out to the city and see how that goes. And you can start with the birds in the city and then, switch to people and switch to street photography and see how that is. You might pick up some things that you can use in your landscape and bird photography later. So it's not a bad idea to try different genres every now and then. It's refreshing. And there is learning and growing when you do that. And then there is one thing is collaborating and sharing. If you have a hard time going out to photograph, then why not join a club, like I said earlier, or find someone in your area that also has the same hobby and go out together and photograph and discuss your photographs and have a cup of coffee and relax and compare the images. I'm not saying that you should compete, but compare how you and your friend can see the same position differently. How do they do? And that's the way to learn from each other, which also is part of the enthusiastic build that comes from learning. And I think that's one good thing. And also sharing images with others is a good thing. You get feedback. Of course, you have to learn that who is the one that gives you good feedback, because there are a lot of people that don't understand anything and they still give you feedback. But of course, it depends what your main audience is and how to cope with that. But yeah, collaboration and sharing your images is a very powerful way of learning and getting better. And when you're getting better, you get more excited about the whole thing, and you will most likely photograph more. And when you're photographing more, you learn more and faster. And then there's one thing that is also very important, is preserving memories. And that's part of the beginning when I said about your project at home, photograph your everyday life. That's also a good thing. You preserve your memories and you get the good feeling of looking at images from like 2 or 3 years ago, what happened. And okay, yeah, that was the lockdown. We were all home and we're doing this and that, if you have images from that. But if you don't, then start today, right after this. After you watch this, go out or go into the living room and take some images of your family over there, just to preserve some memories. And that also sounds kind of like recording your everyday life, which I already talked about a little bit, but it's important thing to preserve your memories. Those are really valuable for you and for the coming generations. They can enjoy your photography too. And all this is kind of like combined in number 10, overcoming creative blocks. All this helps the times when you're feeling that you don't have anything to photograph and, I don't feel like photographing. And in a way, we all get that creative rut that we kind of stuck. And when you then decide to go out, start photographing immediately. Don't wait for that perfect moment. You won't get any photographs. That perfect moment won't happen. But if you go out and take 3 steps, take the first photograph, it's a start. It might be nothing, but don't worry. It's all about getting started. And while you get started, you start seeing things and your mind opens. And it's the fastest way to get out of the creative rut. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I have tons of videos about the same thing and how to get inspired, but this is a video about doing exercises and doing things that will help you to start when you go out and photograph. There are some interesting methods, and I think you should try one of them, or if you already have, then please let us know in the comments down below what motivates you to photograph. But hey, thanks for watching, and bye for now.